What's good, Wizards fans, and happy Friday. I don't want to upset you guys too much, but if you haven't heard the news, Scott Brooks is likely to return as the Washington Wizards head coach per Quentin Mayo, who is a beat reporter who covers the Washington Wizards. So he wrote an article talking about this as well, and I'll read some of what he wrote. So Scott Brooks returning, I mean, they haven't made a decision yet, but he said that the decision is going to be made before the end of June. So a lot of people are disappointed about this. You know, you look at other teams that made decisions. The Blazers fired Terry Stotts, and Terry Stotts got the Blazers to a Western Conference Finals with Damian Lillard. Scott Brooks has never gotten us past the second round. Randy Whitman got us to the second round, and Scott Brooks didn't do any better than Randy Whitman. The Pacers just fired their coach after 1 year. Who else? There were some other coaches that got fired. The Boston Celtics, they promoted Brad Stevens to basically the president of operations, basically the GM position. They basically didn't like what they saw this past year, and they just promoted Brad Stevens, and they're bringing in a new coach. So other franchises and other teams have had more success than the Wizards in the past. The Boston Celtics just went to the Eastern Conference Finals a couple of years ago when LeBron was on the Cavs. So what was that, 2-3 years ago? Other teams have done better than us, and they still have made coaching moves and coaching adjustments. And the Wizards, we haven't gotten past the second round since 1970 something. But under Scott Brooks' tenure, the best we did was the second round, and we're still hanging on to Scott Brooks. So it is an interesting move. You look at the trajectory of all the other teams. I think the Magic just fired their coach as well. Other teams are making instant changes. The Atlanta Hawks mid-season fired their coach and promoted Nate McMillan. And look at the Atlanta Hawks right now. Look at them. You know, they're in the second round. They're not getting past the second round most likely, but they're a team that's on the uprise. They look like a team that next year possibly could make it to the Eastern Conference Finals if Trae Young gets hot again like he is right now. They add a couple more pieces to the roster. So where I'm getting at is that basically I'm saying that other teams are making big decisions and moving on from coaches, but you know, it looks like Russell Westbrook is the GM, and I kind of had a feeling that was going to happen. You know, you look at the end of the year press conferences. You know, the relationship with Russell Westbrook and Scott Brooks going back to OKC, they love each other. Scott Brooks was like, "Oh, Russell Westbrook is the second best point guard of all time," or something like that. I think he did say that in the middle of the year when Russell Westbrook went on that tear, that MVP type level he was at, where he was just getting triple double. We were on that 10-game win streak, and everything was flying high and running high. And Scott Brooks did say that. But they have a great look. I mean, remember, Scott Brooks was the guy that started Russell Westbrook, because I think they were starting like Earl Watson in Seattle or something like that. And then they ended up, Scott Brooks was the one who made the decision to start Russell Westbrook, or Oklahoma City or Seattle, whichever city they were in at that time. So some interesting points. I think Bradley Beal wants Scott Brooks back too. I'm not 100% sure, but I think we 100% know that Russell Westbrook wants Scott Brooks back. I think that's pretty obvious. And there's some good candidates out there. Sam Cassell. I wouldn't mind Mark Jackson. I do like Kenny Atkinson. Trying to think of some other coaches out there, but I really wanted Sam Cassell. That was my first pick. If we could get Sam Cassell, Jason Kidd is out there too. He's okay. He wasn't that great when he was a head coach with the Bucks. He was okay. I think he made the playoffs, but he wasn't that great. So there were definitely some coaching options out there. Terry Stotts too with the Blazers. He was a coaching option as well, or potential coaching option since he just got fired. But this is a move that is making a lot of people upset. I think we just, in my opinion, I'm not going to say I hate Scott Brooks, but I think this team needed to go into a different direction if we wanted to be better and succeed. We just need to get better defensively. I think we need a better defensive philosophy. The time that Scott Brooks has been here in D.C., our defense has been atrocious. It's been really bad. Even when John Wall was playing with Bradley Beal, the defense was really bad. And then John Wall got hurt, the defense got even worse. Now, we just didn't have a lot of guys on the roster that can defend, and that is on the GM, picking guys and signing guys and drafting guys. Didn't really pick up a lot of defenders, but at the same time, the rotations were awful. Some of the lineups were bad. The 3-guard lineup, trying to guard Jason Tatum with Ish Smith, who's 6'1", and Jason Tatum 6'9". You're trying to guard him with Raul Neto and Ish Smith. Stuff that doesn't make sense. Not starting Gafford until the last game of the playoffs, that game 4. That's an inexcusable roster decision or rotation decision by Scott Brooks. Bradley Beal at one point said we couldn't guard a parked car. So you look at the defensive metrics under Scott Brooks, they just have not been good so far. But also, to play devil's advocate about Scott Brooks, the positive things that I can say, I know people don't want to hear anything positive things about Scott Brooks, that you have to take into account that this past year, Russell Westbrook did have the quad injury, and then there was a period where we didn't play basketball for 2 weeks because Rui had the virus. I think Russ had the virus. Bertans, contact tracing protocols. We only had 8 guys on the roster one time. We had to sign Alex Len. We had to sign Jordan Bell, and we still made the playoffs. We started off with 30. We ended the season 17-6, and we started 17 and 32 or something like that. We ended up being 17-6. So we had a 0.6% chance of making the playoffs. So to come from where we came from after that virus stint where we had barely anybody playing, and after the All-Star break, the tear that we went on, I kind of do give some credit to Scott Brooks. A lot of that was on Russell Westbrook. He was on God mode on. I mean, this man was incredible. Him and Bradley Beal just went off, and really Russell Westbrook went off in the second half of the season. So us bringing back Scott Brooks is not a surprise in my opinion, and they're really listening to Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook is like, hey, I'm the captain now. Look at me. I'm the captain now. He's making the decision. So let's read a little bit of the article here, and then I'll head out on this one. So this is what Quentin Mayo wrote. So he says a major factor in this decision has to do with a certain 2016-17 NBA MVP, Russell Westbrook. Wizards general manager Tommy Shepard pulled the trigger on a prodigious trade last offseason, shipping out franchise cornerstone John Wall for Russell Westbrook days before training camp. That move wasn't well received by Wizards fans, as the anticipation for John Wall's return after being sidelined for 2 years was on the horizon. Since then, Russell Westbrook's presence has garnered a newfound national intrigue around the team, an intrigue Leonsis would hate to lose. Westbrook, as well as all-star shooting guard Bradley Beal, both have 2 years remaining on their respective contracts, both with player options in the 2022-23 season. However, Russell Westbrook's connection with Scott Brooks, basically saying Russell Westbrook's contract, so hold on, I'll keep reading. Connection with Scott Brooks, which dates back to his time at OKC from 2008 to 2015, makes moving on from the 24th head coach in Wizards franchise history nerve-wracking due to the fear that Russell Westbrook would voice and or display dissatisfaction with the franchise if Brooks was no longer at the helm. One source says they don't want to upset Russell Westbrook. We know Russell Westbrook is a very passionate person. He does not hide back what he thinks. Whatever he's thinking, he's going to say it. He's one of the last few guys, like I say, from that old era, that Jordan era, where they're going to say what they think and what they feel. And if they don't like something, he's going to speak up, or he'll demand a trade, or whatever's going to happen. And this is a quote from Russell Westbrook after Game 5 when we lost. He said, "If it was up to me, Scotty wouldn't be going anywhere. It's not even a question or a conversation to even be brought up." This is what Russell Westbrook said. And if the conversation is brought to me, I would definitely voice my opinion like I'm voicing it now and see what happens. So basically, Russell Westbrook told Ted Leonsis and Tommy Shepard that he wants Scott Brooks to be back, and that's what happened. So it's all about money, too. Ted Leonsis knows that Russell Westbrook is bringing in that cash, and he's going to sell out seats next year. When the stadium opens up, people are going to want to see Russell. Russell Westbrook is still an all-star. He's still a household name. He's still technically a superstar with the shoe contract with Jordan. Nobody really buys those shoes anyway. But just him, hit the cachet, the name of Russell Westbrook. All the rappers make songs about him. Everybody talks. He's basically a Hollywood player. He's a Hollywood superstar player. We're going to get some more national TV games because of Russell Westbrook, the triple-double thing, him breaking a record. So he puts fans in the seats. This is what it is. People are buying Russell Westbrook jerseys left and right, T-shirts, all that stuff. Why not? He puts money in these seats, and that's what Ted Leonsis is about. It is a business. So I get that you do not want to upset the guy who is bringing the money into the business. So I wholeheartedly understand where Ted Leonsis is coming from. So this is what's going to happen, man. Russell Brooks continued to say this year he did a heck of a job. He did a job that I'm pretty sure people didn't think he was able to do. He kept us together. He kept us encouraged. He kept us fighting. He don't get a lot of credit for it, but he deserves a lot of credit for putting us in the position to be successful. So that's what it is. It is what it is. Scotty Brooks will be coming back. I know a lot of people are frustrated. I wanted to see a different direction as well. I did want to see what we could get from a different coach. If we could motor this roster and motor this team, get Brad to lock in defensively a little bit more, and get Russell Westbrook to lock in a different mode in playoff basketball, because that's where Russell Westbrook really struggles in playoff games. Somebody who could just make more in-game adjustments and rotation adjustments. I just wanted to see something different. Like I said, you see all the other teams just firing coaches left and right when they see something that they don't like, and the Washington Wizards stand pat with the coach that they have right now. So Scott Brooks is a nice guy. I thought he did a solid job getting us to the playoffs. But these past few years, we've just been so bad defensively. We really have. And the rotations have been very, very, very questionable. So you guys let me know what you guys think, man. Hail to the Wizards. Peace.